don't forget the freestyle finals, the BMX freestyle finals tomorrow. This evening, of course, starting in about 20 minutes.
All right, hello everybody and welcome here to the 2019 UCI Urban Cycling World Champs here in Chengdu, China. We're here for a third year and it is absolutely awesome. And we're here to tell you all and take you through a new addition to the Urban Cycling World Championships, and that is Flatland BMX. It's a sport that I've always thought to be super cool and amazing, and I've always been amazed by it, and absolute honor to be able to see this live. So to take us through it, welcome in Claude Hickman, legend himself.
Good to be here with you, Dylan. This is what a flatland stage looks like. It's all they need. It's a flat surface. This one's about 12 meters wide. As you see it there live on the feed as these guys are getting warmed up on that stage. We've got 8 top pro flatland riders in the world here who've made it to these finals. And, you know, they're just having their last minute of warm-up before we get this contest started. If you've never seen flatland before, maybe you've seen a wheelie or you've done a wheelie. These are Olympic-level athletes doing wheelies still, and they've been practicing for some of them more than 10 years. Some of them have been riding more than 20 years. And if you've never seen flatland before, stick around. You're going to be amazed to see what these guys can do. Dylan, you've seen this. You've kind of followed flatland a little bit over the years.
Oh yeah, I've been always amazed by it, and some of the old schools of where it came from. You know, guys taking normal bikes and doing the tricks, and as the bikes have developed, and then you know the different bikes and how the guys are riding, it is absolutely super cool. And the level that the guys are at now is just incredible.
Yep. There's you just got a second to look at some of our judges that are here. We got a chief judge, Ephraim Ketlow, Travis Collier, Kataro, and they're looking for moves like originality, difficulty. So here you see these guys as they roll and spin around the bike. They're looking for creativity. Are they inventing tricks of their own? And most of all, they're looking for execution. Do they get into the trick and out without touching the ground? If you're watching and you've never seen flatland before, watch their feet. If their feet touch the ground or if they come off the bike, those are the kind of things that they get penalized as far as a score. But we've got some great judges here, 4 judges, and honestly over 100 years of flatland experience up there judging, and we're just going to get to sit back and watch this event. But, you know, we also had a pro women's event that took place, and we're going to look back at that right now. 4 riders.
Yeah, so these were our top 4 riders of the women's elite final, and such an awesome race that happened just a little while ago. Such a privilege to be able to watch that. And here's the run from the Austrian Arena, and she put together an absolutely cracking run. We had Misaki
Katagiri from Japan and Julia Pruis from Germany.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
These are, you know, ones that made it to the finals out of all the qualifying. And women's pro flatland has come so far. Wait till you see what these in their runs. This is Arena's run. Doing it from Austria. She does it from 4 pegs, Vans, but she has these incredible rolling tricks on the front wheel. Watch this. Cross-handed hang 5. Gets up into it, rolling on the front wheel. No brakes, all balance. You know, giving a good fist pump there. She is able to put together, let's see, this run that she's been working on. If she can pull her tricks, she'll be able to basically lay down a score that the other girls will have to beat. Here's her rolling a little fork glide on the back wheel, bringing it around to this backwards Carl Cruiser. And you see, notice how she's going to get back to the pedals without touching the ground, pulling another good, clean combo in her run. Arena, just one of all the riders' favorite rider, you know, just super fun to watch. She didn't have the greatest qualifying run, so she's in 3rd place in qualifying, so she has to go first, and these other women are going to have to follow her. But, oh, wow, pulling out a whiplash jump to the pedals. That is so difficult. Takes incredible upper body strength to make that jump. I've tried to do that trick myself and almost broke my face doing it.
What's so difficult about that is when you're on the balance point, you know, you think you're just jumping off the bike and landing, but the thing is you you're on that balance point. So it's not just jumping off a stable platform. You're jumping off a moving object and having to swap the feet over it and find that point and make sure you land exactly on point.
You're exactly right. There she is, finishing out her 3 minutes with a flawless run. And you see the other athletes are excited for her. Her coach, Marty Kopa, coming out to give her a hug. So that means it puts the pressure on Japanese rider Misaki Katagiri, who is she's no stranger to the podium. She took the win this last year for FIS. She has incredible technical front wheel tricks just like these. You'll notice she's got front brakes. Both levers are actually going to her front brake so that she can do those front wheel switches. Her run is just packed with incredible moves, reverse hitchhiker, other things that she's able to pull. And the level of these Japanese riders is amazing. Here's Misaki.
Flatland BMX in Japan apparently taking off, becoming absolutely huge.
Absolutely. They're growing a whole generation of women and men riders, and Misaki is just one of the most well-known flatland women in the world.
As you can see her there, swapping the hand over underneath. And those are things you've got to look for when you're sitting at home is when you're watching this, watch her hands move from side to side and how her feet swap over from the one side of the bike to the other. These are all things that the judges are amped for, and it's hard just to see when you're watching it, but if you watch closely, just watch how the hands move across the bike, watch how the feet move across. And the other one that's important is watch how the bike changes direction from forwards to backwards, because that's something that people don't understand. As you can see there, that bike has swapped over direction probably 8 times there.
Yep. This is Julia, and she's making it look easy. Those turbine steamrollers is such a difficult trick, and you'll notice she has no brakes while she's doing that. Came off the bike there just a little bit. Between Arena and Misaki, they've put down some pretty good runs, and it's put the pressure on Julia here. She's going to have to try to bring out some of her big tricks if she wants to take that lead score away from Arena. There she was with that turbine steamroller, bringing it around to like a half whiplash at the end. And that balance on the front wheel, like you said, Dylan, is just so technical that if you've ever tried to do a wheelie, maybe you understand how hard it is to keep a balance point by doing some of this.
Most people do a wheelie, they use their brakes, and they kind of use a balance point. Here you're standing on a small metal peg off the front of the bike, doing a wheelie on the front and then the back, and then spinning it around and changing direction all at the same time. So it's like taking a wheelie and putting it on like a different planet, man. It's way harder.
That's
Julia,
time.
You can see she kind of, I think she knew it wasn't perfect, but she was happy. There were some big moves in there.
Then it looks like the score came in for Irina, and she has taken the win here at the UCI BMX Flatland Women's World Championship, and you can see the emotion is hitting her as she realizes she has won this title for Austria and for all her family and friends. So excited for Irina. There's the final 4.
So yeah, it's Julia Prius from Germany, Misaki Kataguri from Japan, and then first Irina Sodovinka. Sodonovic. Sorry, there we go. So yeah, what an awesome event. It was a great competition. All 4 ladies were absolutely amazing. And now going into the men's competition, and the semis yesterday was riveting. It really was. Like I was like sweating watching this. It was just so good.
These guys had to battle to be here, and there's 3 French riders. This first one, Mathieu Bonaclou from Montpellier. Made it in, just squeaked into the finals. Terry Adams, representing the USA, battled his way into the 7th spot out of these 8. Next to him, from Spain, you've got Alberto Moya. Just one of the most unique, creative riders that you're going to see later in this event. And just really happy, any of these guys, to make it to the finals. This is Jean-William Prevost coming from Canada. We call him Dub because of his middle name, the W. Watch, he's injured his hand the other day, but he still made his way to the finals. Here's another representative of Japan, Moto Sasaki, doing it for Monster, and another just incredible beast of a rider. Our second to last French rider, Alex Jumelin, the face of Flatland around the world, right there. Alex is just has a lot of power moves. Dominik Nikolny, Also injured his foot, and I was worried about whether he's going to be a ride, but he battled his way into second place into the qualifying to this final 8. And we're going to see what he has to bring. But last of all, but not least, is Matthias Dandois from France. One of the riders' favorite rider, just fun to watch and always smiling. That's Matthias, doing it for Red Bull, doing it for France. And the pressure is going to be on him as he goes last. So when these guys ride, they're going to put down a base score. So let me explain to you really how the judging works and some of what is about to happen, because it's not like some other sports where there's a real objective scoring. There is criteria that the judges are looking for, but the first rider really sets a baseline. And so the first rider to go, Mathieu from France, what will happen is he will set sort of a baseline score, maybe in the 70s, just to leave room above and below. Each judge scores the rider between 1 and 99, and they're averaged between the 4. Mathieu will set a base score, and then each person who rides after him, the judges are going to look, did he do better or worse, and score him based on that base rider.
So what is good about that is the fact that every competition is different. It doesn't go that you don't score a point for a certain trick, because the sport of flatland is so creative that every single competition you're going to see a whole handful of new tricks. And trying to even know what all these tricks' names is, it doesn't even help, because it's kind of like artistry on a bicycle, right?
Absolutely.
So trying to name things that are just constantly being created and changed and morphed into the most amazing, spectacular moves is impossible. So by doing that kind of base level, and then you can go, hey, was he better or worse than the baseline? That is pretty cool.
Yeah, and as you're watching, if you've never seen flatland before, you're watching their feet and watching for touches and watching they come off the bike, and you probably can have a good idea of whether or not they did better or worse than the person before them. And like you said, it is an art. It's a little bit subjective, and so every contest is different. Every run that these guys do is different. Now, the thing to know about this final is that these guys have saved some of their bigger tricks until now.
Yeah.
They know how to qualify. They know how to do runs that are a little bit more comfortable for them this weekend. We started with 34 riders on Friday, and they cut it down to 16 for the semi-qualifier yesterday. But now that we're at this top 8 in this finals, you're going to see them pull out some combos and tricks. I know Terry Adams for sure has a couple of tricks that he has not done yet.
All right, so just the format of the competition. So each rider has 3 minutes. Now, it doesn't go on his best move. He scored on his full 3-minute run. But obviously the riders are going to throw in some safe moves to get good points, and then go for a couple of big moves and big tricks. That's kind of
You're
in
totally
the mind
right.
of the riders?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. They get 3 minutes and one run, and their clock starts when they start their first trick. And then when they get to the end of their time, they have to, if they're in the middle of a combination, and we'll see what that looks like, if they're in the middle of a trick like this, they have to pull it and touch the ground before the clock goes 0 for it to count. Anything after the 0 doesn't count toward their points. But yeah, you'll watch, a lot of them have a first, wow, that backwards whiplash by Mathieu is one of my favorite tricks. A lot of them will have a first combo that they do that's a little bit safe. It lets their nerves kind of settle and, just builds their confidence as the 3 minutes move forward. Alberto Moya that we're watching here, he's had 2 flawless runs this weekend, and a flawless run means they did all their tricks without touching the ground.
Now, the other thing to look out for at home is the different style and the different way the guys ride. There isn't like kind of one way of doing things. As I said, it's so artistic and so emotional that each rider will bring something else, something different to the event. And I'm sure different countries have a lot of different styles, so you get kind of a lot of differences coming out of the different countries as the guys bringing in, and then I'm sure, and the riders don't want to copy each other, so they want to all have their own style and technique. And you'll see it in this, where one rider's moving super fast, another rider going really slow, maybe some a lot more flowy and smooth and others more technical. I mean, it's so cool to be able to see all these different kind of techniques and styles are coming through in the competition.
Yeah, each of these guys, they have a very unique style. I could watch a silhouette of them and tell you immediately who it was. And really, that's what has set them apart. That's why they're in this final. They're not just doing difficult tricks that they've copied from someone else. They are doing tricks that some of them, they're the only people in the world that can do these tricks. And as we get later in the heat with the top 4 and top 3 and top 2, you're just going to see the level go up and up and up. You'll see why they're here.
Now, just a quick one about the riders. I mean, from a training point of view, and I mean, these guys have to be strong.
Yeah, and stamina actually is more than just strength. It's it comes down to stamina. The 3 minutes, it doesn't sound like a long time, but when you're doing these moves, the difference between Matthias and somebody else might come down to who has gas in the tank at the end after that 2 minutes.
All right, so here we've got first rider up. It's Mathieu Bonnecu from France. And as you can see the clock on screen, so that's his 3 minutes starting. And
super creative style. Probably the most creative rider out here, and really just a mesmerizing to kind of watch the way he's thought about Flatland from a completely different viewpoint than other people have thought about. Some of the tricks he does might look really simple, but they're very just technical and hard and unique to him. I love just it kind of fits his personality, to be honest. Almost like couldn't care what other people think. I'm going to do what I want to do, and that's why originally it's always been called freestyle. There's freedom to be yourself, be creative, do what only you can do. He has a trick that he hopefully will do in a minute that's one of just my favorite tricks out here. It's a backwards rolling tail whip. It's called a backwards whiplash, where he's facing backwards. But right now,
look at that. He was, going in the wrong direction, twisted that bar, went down, even using the pegs on the ground. Talk about using the entire bike. I mean, his hands went from handlebar to seat to whatever you can imagine.
Watch this.
Look at the control.
Now,
look at that shaking of his foot there.
Yeah, little nerves, but he's trying to get this bent over and pulls it up to the steamroller. Didn't even touch the ground. He's had a perfect run so far.
Oh, so nice.
Yeah. A little bit of nerves, but I talked to him earlier. He's just so happy to be in this final, and really that says all that he needs to say to the world about his ability. The fact that he's there at the World Championship with these other guys shows that he's meant to be here.
Nicely done. And I like his socks, wearing the rainbow jersey socks. And that's what the riders are competing for here is the UCI rainbow jersey. And that it will be the first time that a Flatland rider puts on the rainbow jersey.
That's a brand new thing to the Flatland world. I have to have you explain that here in a minute.
So the rainbow jersey is essentially the jersey worn by the rider who wins the World Championships in their respective fields. So in road riding, in track, in trials, in BMX, whoever's the world champion, male or female, gets to put on the rainbow jersey, and that just shows the world that you're number one.
That's amazing. Okay, here's that last trick I was talking about. He's facing backwards. Now watch it. The back wheel needs to go all the way around. He lands back on the frame. He pulls it clean, and I think he's had a perfect run. With 8 seconds left, he's going to try to put in one more trick for the judges just to get that score as high as he can.
Yes.
Mathieu pulling a perfect run here in Chengdu, China, putting the pressure on these guys as the first rider, which can be so difficult to have to go first. Oh, my goodness, that was amazing. No matter what happens, that's a happy man you're seeing right there.
Oh, yeah.
To leave it all on the stage like that and know you're going home with, no regrets at all, Here we're watching some highlights from Mathieu. Was there anything that was like your favorite move that you saw him do there?
Yeah, well, I was pretty amazed by going backwards on the bar in the wrong direction, kind of having your balance point, falling over backwards, having to hold it, and then at the same time getting the bike around you, doing that whip. That's pretty stylish.
It's high level, Mathieu Bonnecu doing it for France, making his team proud. We're just going to wait. And this, like I said, this first score is really important because it sets a baseline. And if it's in the, if it's in the high 70s or the 80s, that means it just puts incredible pressure on each of these other riders. And so we're going to, the judges are probably going to take a good 30, 40 seconds here, make sure they get that score right for him, because that's a real game changer for the rest of this event and the rest of these 7 riders that have to follow him.
Yeah, no, this is absolutely awesome. And I love the style of the Flatland riders. It's very relaxed, very casual, very artistic. And you see the guys on the bike. Oh, 82.
82.75 is a massive score to start off with, because like I said, that really is meant to set a baseline. And when the baseline is that high, you don't have that much farther to go above it. I love Terry Adams, but this is putting a lot of pressure on Terry right now, going after that run. But if anybody can score higher, Terry can do it. He just needs to calm down and do what he can do every single day.
Well, what it means is that any rider making a mistake really, really, really is just probably doesn't really stand much of a chance, because if you don't pull all the tricks like Matthew did, the likelihood of getting through is going to be tough. You've got to really push the difficulty level right up there.
Well, and that's the thing that equalizes some of this, is difficulty is going to win out, even over Mathieu's run, if these guys now have to bring bigger tricks. It just means we're going to have a better show for the next couple of minutes, because it makes these guys have to bring out their top tricks and pull them. There are some guys, even if they touch, some of their combos are difficult enough that they can beat it, but they're going to have a good run. Terry has this signature style where he hops over the bike in different ways, just like you just saw. That's called a Katrina, where he jumps over and he just jumps over the bars.
Look at
right
that.
there.
So the first jump you saw, he literally was on the one side. He had to jump right over that back wheel and land back on the pegs. And now he jumped back over the handlebar to get over it. So essentially that bike is like spun a full 360 degrees, not horizontally, but vertically underneath him.
Well, he's going to do it again with this. This is a pedaling time machine. Now watch, he's going to leap over the front wheel and land on the back wheel just like this, and needs to curve away from the edge of the stage. But Terry is an absolute pro.
The guy's got that holding on behind his back, holding on to that tire.
Now he needs to get a decade out of this. Oh, doesn't quite get it, but doesn't touch the ground. But the judges know, he really had one more move he wanted to do at the end of it. That's kind of an exclamation point at the end of it. Didn't get it, and that means he didn't gain some points he could have gained. Watch this bar flip into this crack packer. That's so Terry Adams, wearing that USA jersey. He's got his wife and son here in the crowd. Hop to hitchhiker. Now watch, he needs to do this out of the combo. This is called an Adams bomb. He told me yesterday this is his big move, Dylan. Jumps to the back pegs, and can he pull it? Yes! Look at Terry.
So nicely done.
He's got that fire in his eyes right now. He wants this championship. He doesn't just want to get second.
So coming like in that position on the bike, and you've got to do that jump and you've got to move it. How do you even go about pulling something like that? Like how do you push off in that position?
Terry,
it's insane.
Begins riding at 7 a.m. and he puts in multiple sessions every day for hours and hours. Now this is his other banger trick that he told me, Claude, I got to do this trick. He hops over the handlebars, but he has to land cross-footed while rolling forward. Let's see if he can get it.
Yes!
Oh, doesn't get the roll, but he'll pull it out because he's Terry Adams. One touch, but he pulled that Adams bomb trick out of a combo, which gives him just more points. This is going to be a nail biter for the judges.
From a difficulty point of view, right up there. I mean, that's pretty much as hard as we can get some of those moves.
Here we're going to look back at some of his moves. I'm going to think about how to answer that question. Steps around the bike, and here bar switch and that Carl Cruiser forward. But this Adams bomb, he knew he needed to put it on the end of a link, sort of an exclamation point at the end of a link, maybe we'll have another angle where you can really see what happens as he jumps completely over the bike, lands on the back wheel.
Yeah, you can see it in slow motion. Watch this.
This
got to
trick,
go over.
he put that on Instagram. Snoop Dogg reposted it. It got 1 million views.
Oh, no ways.
So Snoop Dogg's not here today, and he's not judging, but we'll see what the judges think of that, and maybe it will be in his favor to help him top that. I believe it was an 82.75 that he's got to beat if he wants to take the top spot away from Matthew. Terry, such a rad dude, coming from Louisiana in America, doing it for Deco, Red Bull. Being able to get all his signature tricks in there was huge for him. You know, he's had some injuries. You know, kind of had to ice his knee this morning.
As you can see, the judges in the background, they're working hard and discussing there.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be worth taking your time to get this right, you know, like, and I've judged a contest at this level before in other countries, other organizations, and man, it's so difficult, you know, and it's great to have 4 other guys, like I said, almost 100 years of flatland riding experience there on that stage. Kotaro Tanaka, Travis Collier, Alexei Desilnu, and these guys, you know, they want to stop and get it right, and it's okay for them to discuss with each other the score. Wow, and it's coming in at 83.13.
He's done it.
Just barely takes the top seat away from Mathieu, and we're going to have to see if that holds on to keep him on a podium here in Chengdu, China. But next
that's
up,
putting a lot of pressure on the rest of the guys.
Absolutely,
Having
absolutely.
2 riders already over 80.
You know, I'm so happy for Flatland, though, because this is how it should be. This is the level that the world should see out of these guys. I want them to ride their best. You know what? Nobody wants to stand on that podium because somebody else did bad. I think this brings out the best in them. And Alberto Moya doing it for Spain, you know, like I said, he's one of these other riders, has this really different style, really slow, calculated, rolling tricks. Many of them he invented where he hooks his foot just like that on the bike. Uses his hands sometimes to keep the motion going. And you know, you've ridden bikes, you've done stuff on bikes. When you're going slower, there's less opportunity
less
for fail.
momentum, and there's also, it's so much harder. And you know, watching the event, I really, really love his style. Just that slow movement. It's just something else. It's really cool.
Basically, you can't waste any movement, you know, because your momentum is so slow. There's no wasted motion for Alberto Moya. He has to make everything super calculated, right on the balance point. Watch this. He'll hook his foot again over the top tube. Give it a little scuff there to make it happen, but trying to let go both hands.
Oh, small touch.
Couldn't quite see. No, I don't think he touched the ground, but he did lay the bike over, which is a little bit of a, you know, penalty, but maybe the turn a blind eye to that. All right.
The other thing that Alberto does that I find amazing is in a lot of his moves, the tire and the handlebar are so close to the ground, you know. And that to me is also just so stylish as he goes around.
I don't know if you can tell, but he's pumping for more speed while he's going backwards. Just by moving the front wheel and using gravity.
Oh, look at that catch.
Let's see if he can keep it going. Gets a little hand down there on the front wheel. Another flawless run so far for Alberto Moya. He's got 1 minute and 20 seconds. Like I said, he's put down 2 other flawless runs this weekend. And even laying the bike over like that it's still considered not a touch. It might be, you know, less points, but for some of these guys, that's the only way out of those moves is to lay the bike down and get out of it. Came off the bike there, but that's okay. He's still got a full minute, and he's having a great run. Let's see if he pulls out something new here in this final that we haven't seen from him in the qualifying.
So in the momentum there, as he went up, you actually see pulling the bike off the ground with his foot underneath the peg, just like nursing it off the ground. And it's just so stylish and smooth.
It's such a creative concept, and he's the guy that invented it. You know, he's the only person I've seen really just decide to kind of get into those tricks that way. There he is on a hang 5 on the front wheel, switching around the front, no brakes. Had to come off there for just a second, got a little bit off balance. Got 20 seconds left, and here's where the pressure, you know, is really going to be on for Alberto Moya. Swings it all the way around. Let's see if he can pull this out clean with this last 9 seconds. Just hanging on. 3, 2, 1, and whipping it around. That's Alberto Moya doing it for Spain.
Nicely done on the timing there.
We got some fans in the crowd.
That last trick was insane, man. That was beautiful.
That combo, it was on edge of almost losing it the whole time, but you know, he just has the composure to kind of calm down, regain his balance, and get the back end to swing around and that whiplash should come out. Here's a little half-packer glide from him. I can't tell if this is in slow motion or just actually how slow he rides.
Yeah, and how does he get the flexibility to even get his feet into those positions? It's kind of crazy. It's like having your foot behind you and then still hooking the peg or the frame. It's just so difficult to be able to hold on and find that balance point and do it slowly. Man, so stylish.
Even during the middle of tricks, you'll notice they're kind of repositioning and sliding their foot slowly to the end of the peg or the middle of the peg so that they can pivot, you know, on the ball of their foot.
Now these bikes, I mean, the bikes are BMXs, but I mean, they are specifically designed for flatland.
It's a normal 20-inch bike. There are a little smaller frame size sometimes. The back end usually is a little shorter, under 13-inch. 4 pegs usually for a flatland rider, but you know, it's really they can't have a hub that engages forward and back like a fixie bike. That's the only really rule for UCI, but they can choose to have brakes, they can choose to have no brakes. You know, I've seen riders with all kinds of different setups and frame styles. Like the next rider that's about to ride, Jean-William Prevost, you know, he's over 6 feet tall, but he rides a really pretty small bike, really short bike. It's mostly titanium. It's like 18 pounds. But here we are, score coming in for Alberto Moya, 77.75, putting him in that third spot, you know, in the podium. So we'll see if that's going to hold on for him here at Chengdu. This next rider coming from Canada, we call him Dub, Jean-William Prevost.
Well, 77 is what we thought would be a baseline. So, I mean, 77, it's not first place, but it's definitely a good score.
Now, Alberto Moya is our slowest rider. Jean-William Prevost is going to be the fastest rider you see today. He's on another level with these turbine spins on the back wheel. His feet is basically switching back and forth multiple times in every combo. And, you know, all he needs to do is put down his combos and pull them clean, because the level of difficulty of what he does really could give him the top spot here.
You can see how tall he is. That bike looks tiny underneath him, and he really does move it so quickly, though.
This rolling, spinning undertaker he does, it's one of his key tricks he needs to get. He had a bobble on the first time, but got it on the second time. Didn't quite get his foot across the frame, but hopefully Jean-William Prevost can kind of shake that off here in the last 2 minutes and get this together.
So just watch that bike. Watch how that front wheel, like, moves underneath him. He's having a bit of a challenge getting this one, but watch how the bike spins underneath him. That front wheel's going to cross, and literally the bike's going to change direction almost underneath his body. It's quite insane.
Yeah, he wanted to do that into this combo to make it kind of a whole, fuller, harder combo. But here he is stepping up to the pedal, and let's see if he gets this. It's called a fork glide. He's the only person in the world that does this. This is one of his most difficult tricks. Pulls that clean, so that kind of judging-wise might make up for the error that we saw earlier just because of the difficulty of that. There he gets that undertaker just to make sure everybody knows he's the man. And he's still got 1.5 minutes left, and those combos might be enough to give him the top spot already. Here he is.
Just look at this.
This pumping like stick man on the back wheel, comes around all the way to the other side, and watch how he'll pump for speed, like just using his knees and his body weight. I don't know if you can tell, using the gravity to get more speed. He's going to spin this from the bottom side of the bike to the upside.
Changing direction so quickly, you actually you can't see how quickly it's happening. You know, we're watching it, understand the sport, but sitting at home, if you're watching Flatland for the first time, you got to understand that bike changes direction. It's almost every second it's going in a different direction. Forwards, backwards, forwards, backwards.
You're right.
And so complicated and so difficult to get to get it at that speed, at the speed at which he's doing, super cool, man.
Yeah, I've had to watch some of these things in slow-mo just to kind of figure out where his foot went and when it switched directions. So if you're watching and you're getting dizzy, it's okay, don't worry. This is Jean-William Prevost, one of the best in the world. He's had a couple of moves where he's come off the bike, so now he's going to have to bring a really big combo here at the end to make up for that. He's setting up for something on the back wheel, crosses to the other side, and there's all those feet switches on his signature pegs.
Oh, look at that.
Bringing it out to the 0.
Sweet.
Jean-William Prevost doing it with an injured hand. You know, he tore the cartilage right behind his knuckle. He fell the other day practicing, not at the contest, but hyperextended his fingers all the way back. We got great people here like Trish from Bear Essentials who taped up his hand, iced it. He did not practice the day that they had a practice. Jean-William Prevost chose not to practice on their practice day to let his hand heal. Iced it a whole nother day, so now it's been about 72 hours, 3 days. The swelling has mostly gone down, but you see his hand taped there. It may have given him some trouble in some of these moves, having the strength to grab the peg or the handlebar and things that he needed to do. Still, I saw him lay down some really difficult combos in this run. And, you know, the judges, one of the things they're looking for is difficulty. They don't want these guys to go out and do their safe runs, you know.
So we've had our top 4 riders go. We've seen 4. Do you have a move of the day or trick of the day? I know it's hard.
No,
it's too.
There's been
it's
two.
hard to think of, but
no.
It's just something that like, I mean,
yeah.
This is your life.
Yeah,
Flatland is you know it back to front, and you know what do you say there is definitely the highlight.
Well, Terry Adams knew ahead of time. He said, Claude, I said, what are you going to do different in your final run that you haven't done in the qualifying? And he said, I need to do this trick called the Adams bomb, but I need to do it out of a combo instead of just going into the hitchhiker where he jumps down to the back wheel. He did a whole combination of tricks and then comes out in this forward rolling hitchhiker and then jumps to that back wheel out of that whole combo. So it basically multiplies the difficulty score, and for him to pull that, I'm happy for him, and I think that was the move. That was one of the 2 moves of the day that you take note of if you're these other riders. John Williams' score just came in at 78.3. I believe that puts him in 3rd place, but barely. 3rd place. And Jean-William Prevost, you know, came off the bike quite a bit, but still pulled a move that nobody else in the world can do, where he's on the very top of the bike rolling kind of in a big circle, and he steps up to both pedals flat. He can actually do that trick and then kind of lock his knees around the top of the bike and take both hands off, calls it an alien glide. And but just pulling that forklift clean was another. I'm happy for him. I know he's happy to at least get that trick, you know, pulled in a contest. And I think it's going to give him points. Not enough points to get further than 3rd place, but still.
I think he's those coming off the bike a few times early in his run. I think that cost him because the difficulty was there. He was pulling the moves amazingly well, but I mean he came off a few times, and I think that.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was not the run he hoped for in his mind and he wanted. And especially here in China, I know, you know, Jean-William Prevost lived here for 5 years and did shows here in China. He speaks fluent Mandarin. You know, this contest means more to him than just the World Championship. To have this opportunity in China was a big moment for him. And so maybe that 3rd place will hold on, so he'll be able to stand on that podium later and wave, you know, to this Chinese crowd that I know has a place in his heart, you know, to be back here.
So coming off the warm-up for our next 4 riders, we've got Moto Suzuki from Japan. We then got Alexander Yumelin. We've got Dominik Nicolai and Matthias Nandois.
Man, these are some heavy-hitting flatland riders about to go. They get a few minutes, like we said, to warm up because they've been sitting on the side. They've been pacing. They've been, you know, some of them don't even watch what's happened before them because so much of this is mental, you know.
So what do you think is better, going early, being able to do your run, not have pressure, not have to chase a score, or going later on, but yet knowing what you got to do to win?
You know, a lot of these guys want to be kind of third, fourth place coming into the final. They actually prefer not to ride last and not to ride first.
Yeah.
So somewhere in the middle is actually kind of, you have a lot of the advantages of seeing what's happened before you, but you don't have the pressure of riding last, which Matthias Dandois has. So yeah,
although Matthias seems to be pretty good under pressure.
He does just fine under pressure. But, you know, we'll talk about him in a minute. I think he was a little nervous yesterday in the semi. It's the first time I've seen him just look a little like he needed to bring some extra heat. So we'll see what happens. You know, any of these guys can get nervous, and this is a different format than they're used to. This is the UCI World Championship. You know, this is Flatland history in the making. And that rainbow jersey, man, you know, that's never been up for grabs in Flatland before, so who knows what's about to happen.
And up now you see Moto Sasaki.
Moto's been riding for a long time. He just won the event last weekend. He's been competing for 12 years to win, and it was such an emotional moment for him to stand on that podium last week, take first place at the Pro Cup. So, you know, he might have some extra confidence coming into this event that's helped him out. Moto has this extreme style. You talked about getting their bike contorted. Watch, he'll actually get so low that his handlebars scrape on the contest floor as he's in the middle of some of these tricks.
Oh, nice.
Nice little jump onto the wheel. That wasn't the ground. He touches the wheel and hops back to the pedals. But, yeah, he's got some very difficult moves. Moto really doesn't play it that safe. You know, he's been bringing some pretty hard tricks into this. Watch this. He'll step on the handlebar, but he'll also step up to the pedal while spinning, and it keeps the combo going. So now the more tricks he can do as a part of this whole, what we call a combo or combination, it just, again, multiplies that score. So he gets this half.
So the longer the rider or athlete can carry on in the combination,
yes,
it just the score just starts piling up and piling up and piling up and getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it's the number of tricks, and so Moto has, you know, almost a minute-long combination after that last one. So it's the length of time, but really it's the amount of tricks that he pulls within the combo. So Moto having a great run so far. Those are two really good, solid combos to start out his run, and like I said, that can just build your confidence there. His handlebars actually scrape the ground as he's doing that trick. He's going to bring it around again, and the handlebars on the floor.
Oh, look at that.
Steps over.
Literally millimeters off the ground. Look at that. Hooking that seat and getting the spin.
Oh, his bar ends are like grounded. They're sharp, you know, if you get a look at his bike just from doing that and scraping the floor. I mean,
I'm sure a lot of people at home are watching this thinking, how are they not getting dizzy?
Yeah, I don't know. It's the same way maybe a ballet dancer or ice skater. You kind of know where to look on the ground. I can't explain it, but sometimes they do get dizzy. But look at this, cross-footed pumping. This is one of his hardest combos. He's got a minute left, but if he can pull this, I think this might give him a really high score, maybe even the top score away from our leader. 1 minute left.
It's all up there. I'm sure Terry Adams is watching this very closely. And all right, here it is.
All right.
This is probably going to be his last combo, if he can stick it, because he's going to want to get a nice long one in here before the clock ends.
Watch this switch of the bars. He jumps
through.
Yes. Back on the front wheel, kind of pumping for more speed. All right, watch this handlebar scrape the ground.
So smooth.
He needs to get back on the pedals and drop it down like that. Moto, 20 seconds left. He needs to use this time. What has he got left in the gas tank? This is a perfect run for Japan, for Moto Sasaki. Let's see what he sets up here. Another front wheel trick. Oh, he's going to do this switch to cross-fitted. This is a risky move for Moto. Switching to cross-fitted backpacker. At the zero, comes off the bike. Moto Sasaki putting down the run of his life when he needs to do it here in Chengdu, China. Wow.
So just to explain that last move, for those of you at home, I'm gonna try and explain it from a non-flatland point of view.
Alright.
Imagine riding on one wheel with your feet straight, and then all of a sudden changing direction with your feet crossed within a second, but yet still staying on the bike. Most people, they wouldn't stay on the bike. In fact, it would probably end up in a hospital visit. But Moto showing us how it's done.
You're keeping it level by keeping your left and right foot the same amount of pressure on each peg. That's hard enough. But to switch that cross and to keep that pressure on each peg the right way and in balance, it's just incredibly difficult, like you said. So that run is, that's going to be a high scoring run right there. And the only question is, how high is it going to be?
Yeah.
And this is going to, again, put the pressure on these last three guys in a whole new way. Moto, and I'm so happy for him, that's why these guys are professionals, is you can do that trick all day long at your home spot, practicing hours and hours, but it doesn't matter till we get here, until you can do it when you need to do it in your run.
And the other thing, of course, is, getting the trick when you're practicing that trick is one thing, but making it part of a bigger combo is just next level.
These guys have spent over decades learning and working on these tricks, building on concepts and techniques, one on the other. And it's going to pay off for Moto Sasaki with a huge score, 89.0. He becomes our new leader here at the UCI BMX Flatland World Championship. And that is going to put the pressure on these other three guys. 89.0. It leaves a little bit of room in the 90s, but not much, Dylan.
That is a big score.
That's definitely one of the highest scores we've seen this weekend. There were some qualifying scores that were in the low 90s. But Alex Jumelin, man, is going to have to go right after Moto. Alex coming out of France, and really the patriarch of Flatland, ambassador for Flatland around the world. Alex has this really, I call it like a pummel horse, style, with a lot of upper body strength going into these moves. So some of the stuff, it's very technical, all on the front wheel.
Big switch of the feet there, mid combo.
Yep, and it somehow finds a way to pump around on the front wheel. Alex is one of the guys that he has an idea of what he can do and what he wants to do, but he's truly freestyling. There's times where a trick goes a different way than he thought, and he will literally freestyle in the middle of the combo into something else because he's that good. The breadth of tricks that he can do is broader than most people in the world. Alex is just incredible. Really happy for him, happy for all the work he's put in for Flatland. Even for Flatland to be in an event like this is because of people like Alex. Look at that, rolling backwards, turns on the front wheel, pivots to the front.
Gets that foot hooked under the tire, keeping it exactly where he needs the bike.
Like I said, watch his footwork, keep an eye on his feet as he does these moves. Watch that push into a hang five and then into this spinning cliffhanger with the foot on the handlebar. Oh, just got away from him there. This is not what Alex wants. He needs he needs to have a perfect run, and so now he might need to bring out some bigger tricks. Watch this seat grab behind the back.
Let's hope he's kept a couple in the tank here for
the
rest of this run.
Setting up this
with a score of 89 to beat. It's not going to be easy, and this just shows putting pressure on the riders.
Yeah, Alex, I think he's going to ride the way he rides no matter what the pressure is. He's such a professional. The question now is, can he make up for some of those exits from the bike? Little decade there at the end. That's a big combo for him. He may have to pull off a trick he did yesterday, this cross-footed trick at the end. And watch this elbow glide thing he does. Bringing this back from the 80s, elbow glide, ankle death, backwards, into a combo. All right, so now this is where these guys are pulling out bigger tricks. Let's see what he steps up into here. Jumps into the decade and into that. That's a good combo. He's got 30 seconds, though, and Alex is smart. He's a smart rider. He knows how to use the time. And he knows that he needs to get in maybe 2 more combos before his time runs out. There's that cross-footed G-turn.
Oh, yeah. So G-turn essentially just rolling it up onto that back wheel, going backwards on the front wheel, so it's kind of a reverse wheelie on the front wheel. And putting that into a combo is
Yeah, he wanted to step up into this back wheel trick, and it's just not happening for Alex. 5 seconds left. That last 360 to get a few points there at the end. Alex Jumelin, such a professional, such a great guy. You know, all the riders love Alex, and like I said, he has done so much for the sport behind the scenes that most people never get to see, to push it to being in the UCI family and a part of this World Championship. Everyone, Flatlanders around the world, owe a big debt of gratitude to Alex for that. Here we see some of those power moves. That's not just one G-turn, Dylan. You're talking about he does 2 in a row, back to back with a little hop at 720 G-turn. It's just amazing. Very few people in the world do that.
It took me years to get my first G-turn.
Yeah,
just did 2 in a row with a bit of a spin. I mean,
you know, you definitely have more upper body strength than me, just sitting here looking at the two of us. And yeah, it's a powerful trick. So now we're going to wait and see what the judges do with that. Alex tends to score really high, though. You know, don't be fooled by the fact that he came off the bike here and there. Some of the tricks he does are such high level that he sometimes tends to get a high score with those. I know that he's not super happy with that run, but we're going to wait and see what the judges do with it. And like I said, man, anything can happen here.
What I do like about Alex's style is that he seems to push off like almost as if he were riding the bike. He pushes off with his feet and hand on the bars as if he were just riding along and suddenly going into it. And then turns it into the combos. So it's almost like a streety style, if you want to call it that,
yeah.
which really is. It's just so cool.
It's really, he has this really cool, almost like breakdancing battle style where it's like a shark. You know, he's swimming around, circling the stage, and you never know when he's about to just like go into one of his combos. Here we are waiting for the scores. You see Matthias Dandois there, his teammate with him. And let's see Alex's score, if it's enough to take one of these top spots away from Terry. 81.63. That's going to put him in, I believe, the second place.
Yeah,
maybe
second or third. Yeah, it's not coming up on my side.
81.3. Yeah, like I said, he still came in very good.
That's in 4th place.
4th place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Mathieu got an 82. So right now, we've got a few guys on the podium. Mathieu, Terry Adams, and Moto Suzuki. But Dominik Nikolny is no stranger to being on that first spot on the podium. Watch us starting off with a backwards hitchhiker. It's one of his hardest tricks. And back to cross-footed. I've never seen him start his run with that. That means he's here. He's here for business.
He's brought the big guns out.
Pulls that combo out. And that is enough right there to give him a pretty high score. Dominik's not playing around. Wow, these cross-footed whiplashes. I didn't see him do this in his qualifying run. Sets up those cross-footed whiplashes again.
So has Dominik also got both brake levers running to the front brake?
You're right, yep. Got those 2 brake levers that allow him to do some of these switches, but a lot of these tricks he does without even touching the brake. There'll be a trick or two in a minute where he uses those, but you know, he's won competitions even as recently as last year and this last weekend by borrowing somebody else's bikes. He's incredibly good and I mean, just incredibly talented to be able to borrow a bike and do as many moves as he can. Here, he does these incredible, like you talked about earlier, cross-footed, you know, starting out cross-footed, switching to regular, behind the back. Watch this kind of 360 body varial he's going to do. Behind the back, all the way to the other side, cross-fit on the other side, pulling it out clean.
You know, it's not just about having your feet crossed. You also got to remember that as that bike's rolling, the tire has to run between, so you can't move your feet.
Right.
You can't close your legs at all. It's got to stay open, and when you switch that bike around, you got to keep the gap, allow that tire to move, because obviously the tire stops, you're gonna lose that balance point.
Any rub on the tire could throw your balance off. He pulled that boomerang into the crack packer. Now he stepped over to back half packer. This is why I don't try to name all the tricks.
The tricks.
He's on the front wheel.
So hard, yeah. So the other thing about this is the judges do look for combination of tricks. If you just do front wheel or just do back wheel, or yeah, you gotta mix it up a lot. You gotta switch between those wheels. You gotta switch between legs. You gotta grab different places on the bike. Literally use everything, and then also be creative.
Wow, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, look at that!
He went back into this combo.
And look how it's slow. That handlebar millimeters off the ground.
Oh my! I think we're looking at the winning run right now. This is putting the pressure on Matthias in an incredible way. He's going to start off, watch this crossfitted and jump.
Oh, yes. So starting off feet crossed over, feet on the wrong pedals. From there, being able to push it onto that front wheel, onto the balance point. Keep that going, switch out onto that front wheel. What a combo.
Wow. Matthias Dandois, who's taking his jacket off now, watching this run from the side as Dominik finishes out his time with, I believe, a perfect run here in Chengdu, China. I mean, of all the times to put down one of your best runs, Dominik rose to the moment, made it happen.
What a run
Wow.
from him. That was absolutely amazing. Riding for the Czech Republic, representing in a big way here.
Wow, this is a backwards rolling hitchhiker. Started off his run with that trick, and it's one of the hardest combos that he does.
You see, as the bike goes through, the bike spins around 180, the handlebars turn 180, and his body turns 180. There's a whole lot of contortion that's going into actually pulling that off. That is incredible.
Yeah, these slow motion instant replays really give you a chance to appreciate some of the small details that are happening like that make those so difficult. And man, this is going to be a high score. He's trying to fight back a smile there, but he is very happy.
This is going into the 90s.
Very happy. Yeah, very happy about this run. And the question is really just going to be how high of a leading score is this going to be? And will it be something that Matthias Dandois can beat?
Matthias yesterday pulled off a big one.
Dominik,
91.08
into the 90s, but not as far into the 90s as I might have thought. And so I don't know. You know, Dominik should be really happy about that run. I think it left a little bit of door open here at the end for Matthias Dandois, but he's going to have to pull out some tricks that we haven't seen him do in the qualifying or the semifinal. But Matthias, you know, he loves this kind of pressure. He loves this kind of moment.
He's the rock star of the sport.
He is the rock star of the sport.
Not only is he a flatland rider, he's a professional model. And oh, look at that, on the pedals. Beautiful reverse manual there. What do you actually call that? Reversing on that back wheel like that?
Backwards manual.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a lot of those like street tricks, you know, where he jumps and half cab 360s. Here he is pivoting forward and back on that time machine up on the pedals, doing it with his pink socks, man, just to make it fun. It's Matthias Dandois, and he's also sporting his new like signature Vans shoes there that just came out the other day. Matthias, you know,
riding for France.
When he has fun, he rides his best. So watch for him laughing, smiling, dancing, looking at the crowd.
Okay, getting that foot on the seat post there, in between the frame and the seat post, changing up position of the feet. Makes a big difference. Swapping his hands out on that back wheel in mid-spin, swapping the hands between the bar and the front peg.
See, sometimes he'll pull that trick right away, but he noticed he came back down to the back wheel and made a whole combo out of it into this trick where he lets go, spins the bars. He is putting it together in a different way. This is a new side of Matthias we haven't had to see because he hasn't had this much pressure on him until now. Minute and a half left in his run, minute 40 left. Let's see what he brings out. I feel like he knows he's got to combine some of these moves and have some longer combos here to take this top spot from Dominik. Watch this jump through the middle of the bike. Keeps it going, back to the same steamroller combo. He's got so many things he can do from this position as he just works his way around the bike.
This has been a long combo. He's been going for what seems like forever in this. Yes.
Look at that, pulling it out clean. Almost a 40-second long combo. So now he's got to figure out how to use his time wisely. He can't just do long combos that are not filled with difficult tricks. He's setting up for this. Watch this kind of candy bar start. Brings around, hooks his foot. Now he's going to switch hands. Watch this. He'll switch from going backward to forward.
Nicely done. Getting that bike around himself, switching directions and switching the position of the bike. So the bike going from behind him to in front of him, and the bike going from forwards to backwards in one go.
No hands.
Getting his foot
now,
nicely hooked
this
in
is
there.
a trick that I absolutely don't understand. It works for him, but the physics of this makes no sense to me in a minute. He does this so quick. Here we go. Watch this spin. He'll actually take his hands off, and just the momentum of his bike keeps his back wheel up. And see if he can pull out of this with 8 seconds left on the clock. Matthias Dandois got 4 seconds. What's he going to do? One more half cab hop to finish it up. And that's Matthias Dandois leaving it all on the stage, doing it for France. He looks like he's happy about that run. Wow.
You think he's done enough?
You know, he did what he needed to do. He added some extra combos. He combined some things together that he didn't do in his other runs. And, man, it's going to be close. I'll be honest. It's going to be really close. But I can't wait to see, man, some of these replays. Look at some of these powerful moves. 360 cab, up on the pedals in the time machine, but he does it turbining forward and back. But like I said, you know, he added some things and put some things together that he did separately in his qualifying and semi. And we're going to see if the judges give him a higher score for that.
So in the second 4 riders, I've got my favorite move, and that was Matthias kind of defying gravity, getting his hands off in that spin with that momentum. As you say, I don't know how does it work. It doesn't make sense.
It only works if you're Matthias Dandois.
And if you're going extremely fast, the momentum can keep you up there.
Well, man, he's been waiting for this moment for a long time. And, you know, at this point, there's nothing else he can do but wait. He's left all of it on the stage. He did what he came to do. And we're all waiting. You know, the world is literally watching as we wait for the score to come in to see if it was enough to take that spot from Dominik Nikolny. He's got the whole French team here watching, and it looks like the score is not enough to beat Dominik. 90.13. That's going to give Matthias second place. That means Dominik Nikolny is our first UCI BMX Flatland world champion.
He's going to be putting on that rainbow jersey. You better get over there and go and talk to him.
I'm going to get over there, try to get an interview with our winner.
So what an event, what riding. That was absolutely incredible. We got Claude running over. He's going to go have a word with Dominik, and I'm so happy for him. It's been a big competition. I've been watching these guys practicing literally all weekend, warming up, getting those moves, and Dominik putting together that amazing combination of moves, keeping it on there. It had to be a flawless run. It had to be amazing, and he did that. So Dominik Nikolai is the first UCI Flatland BMX World Champion, and will be the first Flatland rider to put on the rainbow jersey. So Flatland BMX being included in the Urban World Games. It's not to say it's the first time they've had a World Championship. It's just the first time that it's included in the UCI Urban Cycling World Championships, and it is here in Chengdu that it has happened. An amazing weekend. It really is just so cool to be able to be here and to see all the sports come together. We got bicycle trial. We've been watching that all day, all the qualifiers, the semis for bicycle trial. We've had the BMX Flatland that we've just watched. We've got BMX Park. That's happening on Sunday. So really is. And there is your top 8 riders. Well, those were the top qualifiers and in the final, and the top 8 riders. So we've got Alberto Moya, Jean-William Prevot, we've got Alexander Jumela, we've got Matthias Bonnecue, Terry Adams, Moto Shiozaki, Matthias Dandois, and Dominik Nikolai. So what a race, what an event it was, what a competition it was there on the stage. We're just waiting for Claude to get over there and have a word with Dominik and find out how his run went. But it really was super cool, and well done to everybody in the team for getting such great action and making it possible to get it out to the world. It really is something super cool. You can see that getting everybody ready for that. Trying to find Dominik there on the at the stage.
Czech Republic. Okay. Start. We're here with Dominik.
So just some interesting facts about that stage itself. So that stage, it's actually got heating underneath, so if it gets wet it can dry out. And about 12 meters big, made out of marine ply, painted with a really grippy substance so those tires can grip. But hand over to Claude and Dominik.
We're here with Dominik Nikolny. Dominik, what, if anything, did you do differently here in this final run to take the win?
Man, like everything was different. My leg is like totally like exhausted, so I was kind of like hoping for the best, doing good run, and then like get the best result I could get. But this run, I'm really happy about it because it was actually what I was practiced for. So yeah, I couldn't be more happy that I pulled what I actually was practicing back home, you know. So that's the main goal, you know.
I know it must feel great to represent your country, the Czech Republic. And what does this moment mean to you to take home this win?
To be honest, it's really crazy because for us it's first ever championship, world championship. So yeah, I couldn't be more like honored to win this thing, man.
I want you to soak in this moment as we announce to the world the first ever UCI BMX Flatland world champion, Dominik Nikolny.
Thanks, man.
You.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Claude, and well done to Dominik. He deserved it. He put together just an incredible run. Those combinations were insane. Focus was insane, and just too cool, man.
All right, go celebrate, man. Go soak it in.
As you can see there, first of the French riders, and putting down, that was Jean-William putting together a really, really good, Mathieu Bonnecue putting together a seriously good starting run. We had Alberto Moya, as you can see there, with some incredible moves, and just the speed at which he does things. He does it so slow, just makes it look like art. We then had from Canada, Jean-William Prévost. And our Japanese rider, Moto Shiozaki. So we had 3 French riders in the final, so just shows you how big and powerful Flatland BMX is in France. 3 riders, that was Matthias Tandois, it was Alexander Jumelin and Mathieu Bonnecue, all from France. Just amazing. Matthias Tandois was the first qualifier, as you can see there, qualified first for the final, ended up with the silver medal, so well done. And going on to the women's interview, so we're going to hand over and go over to that.
All right, Irina, here's the big time moment. How do you feel?
Amazing. What do you think? It's awesome. Great feeling. Really great.
So tell us, what is it, the little secret that you've been using to get to this stage?
Practice a lot, get supported by a lot of lovely people and 2 coaches. Like, I'm really happy to work with Marty Kopper in the MK format and also with my long-term coach, Sebastian Grubinger. I get a lot of support from my friends and my family, and the rest is just practice, 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 and most important, enjoy, smile, and ride. That's it.
教练，感谢他所有的
Yeah, the same
支持者。
The second question. So ja, ich bin natürlich super glücklich, den Weltmeistertitel der ersten UCI BMX Flatland Weltmeisterschaft gewonnen zu haben. Bin super stolz. Möchte auf alle Fälle danken meinen zwei Coaches, Marti Kopper und Sebastian Grubinger, die mich sehr supporten, meiner Familie, meine Freunde. Und ich kann nur sagen, Ride and Smile, bleibt dahinter, trainiert hart, es ist es absolut wert. Danke vielmals an alle, danke! Woo!
Arena 的教练啊是。
And well done there. Such an amazing competition and such a privilege to be able to be here and talk you through the first UCI Flatland World Championships here at the UCI Urban Games in Chengdu. And really an amazing facility and amazing park that's been put together. Right in front of the commentary box here, we've got the bicycle trials that's been happening. We've got the Flatland BMX just next to that, and then we've got the skate park in the back, and always action, always things happening, and it's so action-packed and just an amazing thing to be able to have right here in the middle of Chengdu. Chengdu obviously famous for many different things. Among them is the Panda Research Center. Most of the pandas in the world are here in Chengdu. Absolutely awesome to be able to go and see them. They are just too cute, and although I think they might be quite dangerous if you climb in that pen, but very cute to go and have a look at. We've got Chengdu, also very famous for food, and they've got the famous hot pot. We went out for one of those the other night, and just an interesting way of eating and super delicious. And then obviously right here, 17 million people in the city, and we're in a park right in the center with just some of the most amazing sports you get and the urban games. So we're going to go over to the podium, and we're going to hand over to the podium. Oh, you want me? Okay, cool. So we're going to be talking you through the podium, and first up we got the ladies.
为获奖运动员颁发彩虹衫和天座表以及奖牌的是
Mr. Arthur Lopez, member of the UCI
So
Management
handing
Committee.
over the trophies for the Flatland ladies, it is
In third place and
Mr.
winner
Arthur
of
Lopez
the bronze
from
medal,
UCI,
位列第3获得铜牌的得主是
Germany, Julia
and in
Priest.
third place we've got Julia Prus from Germany.
In second place and winner of the silver
So
medal.
second place went
第二
to
获得银牌的得主是
Japan's Misaki
From
Kataguri.
Japan, Misaki Katagiri.
来自日本
And then first place, a
And then, ladies and
well-deserved
gentlemen,
ride
in first
there
place, winner
from
of the
the
gold
Austrian.
medal
It
and
is
world
Irina
champion.
Sadovic.
获得金牌以及世界冠军称号的是
From Austria, Irina
Look at that
Sadovnik.
smile. She is
来
so
自奥地
happy.
利
And for the first time ever, we are about to see the rainbow jersey being put on to a BMX Flatland rider, and just so cool to be able to see that, see the sport get recognized and get kind of uplifted. And the sport of Flatland, it just is, it's a really pure form of bike riding. It's all down to balance, and everything about it is just about dedication, time spent on the bike, and Flatland does represent that, and really doing a great job here with this event, and just showing the world what Flatland is all about. And
Let's give
these
them a big round
ladies
of
just
applause,
did a
ladies and gentlemen.
fantastic job at that.
朋友们，掌
So
声欢
well
呼声
done.
The gifts
So,
will be presented by
Germany,
Chen Yong,
Japan,
Deputy
and
Director of
Austria
Culture, Sports and Tourism
making
Bureau,
up the
Chen Yong.
podium.
下面有请文化
Absolutely
区文
amazing
化
there.
体育和旅游局副局长钱勇
Loads
为
of
获奖
smiling
选手颁发
faces.
吉祥物。
And then handing over the traditional pandas to the podium winners. Pandas representing Chengdu, city of Chengdu.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give them one more big round of applause, please.
So well done to those ladies
朋友
there.
们，掌声欢呼声再次送给获奖选手。
And then could I please ask you all to stand for the national anthem of Austria.
女士们、先生们，请起立，奏奥地利国
All
歌。
right, and now it's the national anthem of Austria, and we'll be just quiet for a moment there.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give them one more very big round of applause, please.
掌声欢呼声再一次送给世界冠军。
And then can we ask the three girls to please stand together
All right,
on
cool.
the top step of the
Sorry,
podium
so
for a
just
photograph.
waiting
If
for
you girls
the
can
completion
stand
of the
together, please.
Austrian anthem
There
there,
it is, ladies and gentlemen, the
and
first ever
we will
rainbow
now get,
jersey in the
pretty soon we're going to be
discipline
going
of
over to the
Flatland BMX.
men's
Congratulations
podium,
and well done.
and
then
what a
girls, if we can
competition
ask
it
you to
was.
step forward
From
onto the front of the stage,
qualifying to semis to finals, so much action happening and so many changes in the scoreboard, and it really left for a competition that was wide open, and really was quite amazing to be able to watch, and being behind the scenes just to see the amount of pressure and how professional these riders are in their preparations and their build up, how they focus on the event and how they kind of hold through, listening to music, sitting in the back there, focusing, like getting into their mind what they're going to do, how they're going to move their body, and making sure that it all goes to plan to put together the perfect run. And you know, you got three people on the podium, but you know, the amount of hours and days, weeks, months, years of preparation that's gone into every single one of these riders to get here. And with Flatland, you know, the guys spend hours and hours and hours on that bike just to get that one little move, you know, rolling the bike forward and moving your foot in just the right angle or position just to get that extra point on the board. And the riders know that, and that's why it is so important. And you know, the guys got to put it all on the line to get the win, but those tricks are hard, so you can't make it too easy. You got to make the competition super hard, but you also can't make it too hard that you're going to make those errors. And putting together that combination, that's what gets you on the podium. And the guys really did pull it off with some incredible runs here in the final, also in the semi-finals and the qualifiers. Some absolutely amazing stuff happening. And we're going to see now the men coming up on stage for the podium of the men's BMX Flatland here at the 2019 Urban Cycling World Championships here in Chengdu, China. And in third place, riding for Japan, it was Moto Sasaki.
From Japan, Moto Sasaki.
Moto almost not making it, almost falling over the podium there.
In second place, and
So
winner
the
of
dignitary
the silver
from the
medal.
UCI handing over those medals.
From France, Matthias Dandour.
So second place, Matthias Dandour, one of the rock stars of the sport. He really does represent Flatland all over the place, riding all over the world, traveling for possibly, I think it's like 300 days of the year. He is traveling to another country, to another place, doing Flatland in amazing places. And then in first place, it is representing the Czech Republic, Dominik Nikolai. And what a ride for him, putting on that rainbow jersey. It's going to mean so much to him. And as the riders were saying, for the first time been able to say that the Flatland is part of the World Championships. It means a lot, but it also means progression in the sport. And Dominik, very happy to be able to stand on that podium, put on the first ever rainbow jersey for Flatland BMX, and a podium of worthy contenders. What a ride there by them all. Matthias Dandois was the top qualifier yesterday, top rider in the semis. Dominik second, or was he second? No, sorry, Dominik wasn't. He was, yes, second place, Dominik, yesterday in the qualifiers, managing to swap that around. And then Moto Shiozaki in third place. All three having the most incredible runs, putting it down, flawless runs here in the final. And it's going to be going over to the national anthem of the Czech Republic. Emma, is the Czech Republic, is the national anthem broadcast, or do you want me to talk through the anthem? All right, and this is a slow motion of Dominik's run, and look at the technical aspect of it. Look how his feet are moving, that bike spinning a full 360 degrees underneath him, and his feet not moving on the bike, so crossing over from obviously left to right, going to normal, back around. Super difficult and technical move. Pumping to get momentum, as you can see there. Great respect between the athletes.
Give them a big round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen.
And that is the podium here. Well done. As you can see, the riders super amped and proud of each other. Just being there, being on that podium means so much to these riders. And to be able to see it as part of the UCI Urban World Games. I've been here for 3 years in a row, and it is just so amazing to be able to have the sport of flatland join in the Urban Cycling World Championships.
There we go.
And
a big thank you to
yeah, congratulations to our riders for making that. Getting the vibe going on stage.
Very cool. Congratulations and well done. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, the first 2 rainbow jerseys from the UCI ever handed out in the discipline of Flatland BMX. If we could please ask Dominik and Irina to come back up for one more photo of the 2 champions together.
So we're going to go over and have a look at the best moments of the day. Some of the riders, some amazing moves from the ladies. Look at that. Look how happy she is. Taking it home for Austria. Big one there. Terry Adams happy. He put down a flawless run. It just wasn't enough for the American. There we go. Moto, knowing he'd done a good run, knowing he'd put down a solid score, wasn't to be for the day, but it really was something special. Moto obviously winning last weekend here at in China. All right, thank you very much to everybody. It was absolutely awesome being here. I'm Dylan Victor, and big thanks to my co-commentator, Claude Hickman, the legend. He's out congratulating the riders. But big up to the games and all the athletes. It's amazing to be here, and we'll be back tomorrow for some bike trial action. And throughout the weekend, we've got park, we've got everything else coming. So stay tuned to the UCI YouTube channel or channels around the world, and we'll see you guys later. happy with that?